believe it or not, some of your favorite on-screen BFFs, lovers, and even rivals didn't actually get along in real life. Shocking, isn't it? From name-calling, to egotistical outbursts, to catfights, and even physical altercations, these stars have done it all. Be prepared to hear about some actors who never liked each other in real life. But before we do, click that subscribe button to join our notification squad and get the lowdown on all our latest playlists. Can you guess what feature film these emojis are showing? Find out at the end of this video. Let's get started.
Don't you call me a mindless philosopher, you overweight glob of grease. Now come on before somebody sees you.
Star Wars, R2-D2 versus C-3PO. A long time ago in 1975, George Lucas flew to London to cast the famed roles of R2-D2 and C-3PO for his upcoming sci-fi film Star Trek. No, calm down. We're just making sure you're paying attention. While there, he found Anthony Daniels, who played C-3PO, and Kenny Baker as R2-D2. Over the decades, the two openly appreciated all the money, fame, and fan devotion. And despite being the only two characters to play in all the Star Wars films, the two never really got along, and it's well documented. Baker one time approached Daniels with the idea of touring the characters, and Daniels told him to go away, little man. Ooh, so harsh, dude.
You'll be malfunctioning within a day, you nearsighted scrap pile.
The two were always in their suits on set, and it was difficult to talk or hear anyone while in them. So naturally, the two rarely ever talked during filming. He used to think it was just him until he realized no one likes Daniels. Daniels had a reputation of not getting along with almost everyone on set. He even has a reputation of being brash and prickly toward fans as well. Baker openly refers to Daniels as being the rudest person he has ever met.
You want that thing off your face?
Mad Max, Theron vs. Hardy. The worldwide critically acclaimed revamp of Mad Max took the world by storm. Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron's performances were amazing, to say the least. Their portrayal, coupled with George Miller's story, brought to the world everything we've been craving in our movies and wrenched it to the max. Hardy and Theron on screen were at each other's throats to the point of killing one another. In real life, this wasn't too far off. From the beginning, they got off on the wrong foot with one another. This is probably why their on-screen characters work so well for audiences globally. Theron has gone on record speaking about her dislike of Hardy, and not just this one time for this film. She's done this on other occasions as well toward Hardy. When on set for Mad Max, she wasn't able to talk or connect with him. This was due to the fact Hardy likes to stay in character while filming, and in between takes would mumble to himself and ignore the cast and crew.
My name is Max.
Hardy, on the other hand, has a different perspective. In response to Theron's slanders and comments in interviews, Hardy had this to say: "That's disappointing. I think she's bleeping awesome." All we can conclude about the feud is, Hardy, you're a stand-up guy. Way to keep the positivity flowing.
Do you understand? Do you?
Lawless, LaBeouf versus Hardy. Alright, so in this next section, a pattern might be emerging about Mr. Hardy that he's not such a stand-up guy. Or there might just be a lot of overly jealous actors out there. During filming of Lawless, Hardy told interviewers that Shia LaBeouf had knocked him out while on set. LaBeouf had some beef with Hardy prior to action being called, and came behind Hardy and punched him in the back of the head. Everyone in the room burst out into laughter, unsure whether Hardy was telling the truth or not, but Hardy kept on with the story. He continued to talk about how intimidating LaBeouf is. When LaBeouf was asked questions regarding the altercation, he let it be known it wasn't moonshine related at all. Apparently it had nothing to do with alcohol, and everything to do with the brotherly love the two have for one another. This is according to LaBeouf anyways. Whether or not this is true to some degree, we find it hard to believe LaBeouf being able to knock out Hardy with one blow. Look at the two of them side by side.
Do it! Just do it!
Does it look like Bane can be knocked out by Even Stevens? You decide. Let us know in the comments.
Come death and welcome. Juliet wills it so.
Romeo and Juliet, DiCaprio versus Danes. Just before the release of 1996's Romeo and Juliet, established childhood stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes were on the verge of global stardom. The film helped to catapult them to the global phenomenon they are today. Danes has become a critically acclaimed Golden Globe winner. DiCaprio has become known for his commitment to difficult roles, famously shoving down on a bison liver to finally win his elusive Oscar. But why haven't we seen them in a film together since? Well, during the filming of the classic love story, Danes viewed DiCaprio as annoyingly immature, as he constantly pulled pranks and jokes on the cast and crew. On the flip side, DiCaprio found Danes annoyingly uptight and reserved. Guess it wasn't all perfect, was it? When the cameras weren't rolling, the two avoided one another like the plague. These character traits were very fitting for the characters they were playing at the time, so we don't see anything wrong. We just hope one day they forgive one another and do another film together. Claire Danes and Leonardo DiCaprio's on-set relationship was less star-crossed lovers and more just plain cross. Lovely.
Ooh la la. Paris is burning and Serena and Blair lit the match.
Of course your flame is hotter than mine.
Gossip Girl, Lively versus Meester. Gossip Girl aired between 2007 and 2012, and during this time, Blake Lively and Leighton Meester became household names. Lively and Meester were stars of the show and were consistently plagued by having to pretend to be besties all the time. This BFF persona they presented helped build their massive fan base. On air, the two played the lead roles, besties Serena and Blair, unless there was a day or two their characters weren't getting along. Things happen, right? A little tiff between besties is totally normal. Off-screen, they had started as friends, but by the end drifted far apart. During filming, they would butt heads on various things and had very different viewpoints and opinions on everything. Neither of them have openly confessed to disliking one another. However, it's all reported by their co-stars, friends, family, and crew on set. Apparently, their friendship completely dissolved when Lively didn't even bother to congratulate Meester on her engagement to Adam Brody. Yikes. Whenever the two have been asked about their relationship with one another, they have perfectly scripted responses and deny it completely, which leads us to two thoughts on the matter. Either this feud is entirely non-existent or is seamlessly covered up by their amazing public relations team.
I mean, I know things aren't perfect, and I know there's been some issues. All right, and you've kept things from me, and I've kept things from you.
Gilmore Girls. Everyone should have heard by now about the famous on-screen chemistry between characters Lorelai and Luke on the acclaimed Gilmore Girls TV show. Lorelai was played by famed actress Lauren Graham, and Luke is portrayed by beloved actor Scott Patterson. Throughout the series, there's always a tangible chemistry, and their witty banter back and forth is enviable. Everyone strives to have someone in their real lives who gets them like these two characters get each other on screen, especially when coffee is involved. But off-screen, this was far from the truth. The two just didn't like one another.
Why am I the only one who gets this?
Okay, we'll go.
And they were, and still are, okay with this realization. But why did the two not get along? Well, no one knows the exact details as to why these two didn't like each other. When Graham was asked if Scott and her were friends in real life, she shot the suggestion down with a swift no. Some of the other actors have gone on record talking about how Scott was difficult and annoying to work with. For those who haven't watched yet, we urge you to check it out. You won't be disappointed. For those who grew up with the series, we're sorry for ruining your childhood. Just grab a cup of coffee and everything will be okay.
And you're okay, and he's going back to prison for good.
One Tree Hill, Bush versus Murray. One Tree Hill first premiered back in 2003 and lasted 9 seasons until 2012. The show gave audiences major feels and made everyone feel like one big family. So much so, two of the main actors from the show fell in love in real life. Sophia Bush, who plays Brooke Davis, and Chad Michael Murray, who plays Lucas Scott, were together, and they even ended up getting married. However, they're both living proof that business and pleasure should never mix. 5 months into their marriage, Bush filed for divorce. Allegedly, Murray cheated on Bush with Paris Hilton during the filming of House of Wax. What could be worse than discovering your spouse cheating on you? How about being forced to work with them? Bush had to work with Murray on set, filming One Tree Hill for years post-divorce. She openly admits this was one of the most difficult times in her life. She was fresh out of college and her personal life was being publicly displayed. But don't worry about Bush. She kept quiet and avoided any public discussion of the matter because she didn't want the breakup to define who she was. You go, girl.
It's your big opening. I wanted to look beautiful.
Well, Vivian, I don't have that kind of time.
Fresh Prince. Smith versus Hubert. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air originally aired on NBC from September 10th, 1990 to May 20th, 1996. It generated one of the most revered title sequences ever and catapulted Will Smith to a near demigod. He was untouchable, and everything he appeared in skyrocketed to success. Whatever he wanted, he could have, even if that meant having one of Bel-Air's beloved actresses removed from the show. Janet Hubert played the original Aunt Viv until Smith had her replaced between seasons 3 and 4. Smith said, "We're just gonna replace her and act like nothing happened." But what happened? The feud supposedly started because Janet wanted to help the cast, as well as herself, get a raise. Smith refused her proposal, and instead of hashing things out, he went with a different approach. He went to the producers and told them of his plans. 20 years plus later, the feud still continues. A cast reunion has been in the works for some time, but doesn't seem possible. Hubert refuses unless Smith apologizes, but Smith keeps quiet whenever this topic is approached. One day, we hope the two can find an agreement between one another so we can see them all on screen together one final time.
You're not so cocky now, are you?
I'm gonna get you, Phil.
The Notebook, Gosling versus McAdams. Don't worry if you haven't found true love like Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams had in The Notebook. It turns out the two didn't really like each other anyway. According to the director, Nick Cassavetes, the two did not get along from the beginning of production. They were heated for each other, but not in a romantic way. On the very first day of filming, with 150 standing around for a big scene, Gosling halted production. He called over Cassavetes and told him to bring in another actress to read off camera with him. But this didn't last long. Cassavetes pulled them into a room alone together and the two actors yelled it out, literally. Cassavetes left and the two yelled at one another until they came out and said they were ready. This seems like a very Ally thing to do, doesn't it? From then on, it was reportedly smooth sailing with a few bumps, of course. For those who have seen it, they know the actors go on to give the performances of their lifetime. Their chemistry on screen ruined love for so many because they realize they will never be able to find a love so magical. We think the on-screen chemistry must have rubbed off on the actors.
It wasn't over.
still isn't over.
Because they went on to have an on-again, off-again relationship in real life. Well, at least Allie and Noah made it, right?
It's the last thing you'll see before you die.
Game of Thrones, Cersei versus Bronn. By now, everyone knows the story synopsis for Game of Thrones. Almost every character wants power and will do anything to rule the kingdoms. But what about the behind-the-scenes drama? Lena Headey, who plays Cersei Lannister, and Jerome Flynn, who plays Bronn, are not allowed to be in the same room together. These two are in such a feud, it is known on set to keep them apart at all costs. But why, you ask? The two used to be a thing together, but have since parted ways. Headey apparently enjoys giving out free impromptu casual massages between takes. This has become an issue for the still lovesick Flynn. Seeing her like this sends him into a frenzy, and things don't bode well on set after. Just seeing her talk with others becomes too much that he loses character, and filming has to be stopped. This has made things difficult on set, because Flynn's character is the personal bodyguard to Headey's character's brothers.
What is it? What do you want? You're sleeping through the wall.
This means there are a lot of scenes that have had to have been specially filmed and specifically written to help avoid any further disruptions. With more seasons yet to be filmed for the series finale in 2019, we hope the two patch things up together. We hate to see one of our favorite characters be written off the show. Which of these actors' feuds surprised you? Did we miss any even juicier ones? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and share this video. Be sure to check out the Screen Rant playlist for more awesome videos. Oh yeah, here's the answer to the emoji question. Thanks for watching.